everybody, and welcome to the Quest Show. I am your host, Lana Quest. I'm supposed to be on a little vacation, somewhat of a sabbatical, but there's so much going on in the news this week. I wanted to just pop on real quick and touch base with everyone. Again, this show is pre-recorded, so please like, share, and subscribe. I will be back on, I believe, November 8th, 9th. I think November 9th is when I will be back on. I am not certain about that. But anyway, let's talk about this crazy week. Today is, I don't know what today is. Today is October 24th. So this past couple weeks have been crazy, and I wasn't on last week either. So let's just talk about a house in disarray. Let's talk about that. The House of Representatives is currently in disarray. I don't know if I talked about it the last time I was on, so I'm probably going to repeat stuff, but that's okay. We can do quick recaps. So remember, it took Kevin McCarthy 15 times to become Speaker of the House. In order for him to become Speaker of the House, he had to do all these backdoor deals. One of the backdoor deals that he had to do was with Matt Gaetz. Because remember, Matt Gaetz and someone else almost came to blows on the floor because he wouldn't vote for Kevin McCarthy. Well, anyway, Kevin McCarthy gave up his power. He gave up a lot of his power by agreeing to rewrite the rules and allow for, I guess, like anyone at any time, if they didn't like something that Kevin McCarthy said, they can just say, hey, we want to call a vote to have Kevin McCarthy removed. So that's exactly what Matt Gaetz did. I guess he was pissed off. I think I talked about this. He was pissed off because Kevin McCarthy made a deal with the Democrats to keep the government open for like 45 days or something like that. We're coming up on the expiration of that deal, and the government will shut down because there is not a Speaker of the House of Representatives right now. I'll tell you why. So Kevin McCarthy was thrown off the island. He was fired. After he was fired, they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? Who are we going to have? Republicans have no idea. All of a sudden, they put up Scalise. There's Scalise, and then there's Jim Jordan. I guess Scalise was nominated. Scalise called himself the David Duke without the baggage. You tell me what that means. But he was nominated. But you know what? Everyone's not going to like Scalise because they like Jim Jordan. So what happens? They start attacking Scalise. Now, if we see the attacks on TV, imagine what's going on in the back room. So, you got Marjorie Taylor Greene on TV saying, he shouldn't run. He's got cancer. Trump, the de facto Speaker of the House, is saying, hey, he shouldn't run. He's got cancer. So then all of a sudden, Scalise drops out of the race, and up pops Jim Jordan out of the ashes. So now it's Jim Jordan's the guy, right? Yeah, you thought Jim Jordan was the guy. Nobody wants Jim Jordan. Moderate Republicans, sensible Republicans who want some type of decorum, don't want the guy who's constantly throwing fires and flames, stunts and shows. The guy who's been in Congress for 15, 16, 17 years and hasn't passed any legislation. Nobody wanted that guy on there. Not to mention, he is the same guy who tried to erase the existence of a 10-year-old rape victim who was impregnated. Jim Jordan said, what? That didn't happen in Ohio. What are you talking about? It sure did happen in Ohio. Not only did it happen in Ohio, the poor girl couldn't get an abortion in Ohio, and her parents had to take her out of state, and Jim Jordan tried to say that they were lying about it. On top of that, Jim Jordan is also the guy who kept quiet about sexual abuse at Ohio State University while he was the assistant wrestling coach there. He sure did. The students told Jim Jordan about the sexual abuse, and Jim Jordan was like, didn't say anything, just let it happen. So the guy that was just remained silent now wants to speak out of his mouth and be the speaker. Oh, not to mention Jim Jordan is also an insurrection guy. He's an election denier. He was out there, texting and emailing or whatever the president and whoever else about the insurrection. So he was like heavily involved in that. Who wants Jim Jordan to be number 2 to the presidency? Who wants that? No one. So guess what? He didn't get the votes the first time. Then he came back to call for another vote, tried to whip some votes, called it for more votes. Guess what? He got less votes than he got before. Now Hakeem Jeffries is getting more votes than Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan's like, hey, I'm a former wrestler. I'm going to keep going. I don't give up. What did Jim Jordan do? Whip votes, came back out. Third time, what? 3's a charm? Not for Jim Jordan. Still did not get the votes. Finally, what happens? Jim Jordan's like dropped out. No Speaker of the House still. I don't know how many days it's been with no Speaker, but it's been a fairly long time. It's been a couple of weeks or something, 13 days. I don't know. It's been a long time that they have not had a Speaker. That means that nothing is getting passed. Nothing is happening. They're just not working. Like your tax dollars are just going to them doing absolutely nothing. So now, since Jim Jordan is not the guy, here comes 9 Republicans who threw their hats in the ring. 7 of the 9 Republicans were election deniers. I guess 2 were okay. I can't remember their names, but 2 the Democrats said that they were okay with because they were not election deniers. Like at this point, you just don't want an election denier. It is going to be a Republican speaker. You don't want an election denier to be second in line to the presidency. That is what you don't want, right? Because the election deniers also do not want to give money to Ukraine. We need money to go to Ukraine. Why do we need money to go to Ukraine? Because Ukraine is the first line of defense over there. Because if Ukraine falls and Russia gets to take over, then what's to say that Russia is not going to go over to the next country and try to take over, and the next country? And then we have to get into the war if Russia is picking a fight with one of our allies. So that is why it is very important that we continue to help Ukraine fight off Russia. It is very important. Anywho, 9 Republicans put their names in the hat to run for speaker. So on today, I think it is today, did they put their, I don't know, the days are meshing. They either put their names in the hat yesterday, and today's they started seeing how many votes that they would have. So like it was kind of funny because it's like, and then there were 9, and then there were 7, and then there were 5. Oh, did I mention Byron Donaldson threw his hat in there? Yeah, the prop. Yeah, you always gotta have the black one. He's like, they keep invoking my name anyway. I might as well put my hat in. Guess what, Byron Donaldson? They're not going to allow you to be Speaker of the House. You're the prop. You're supposed to just be quiet unless they tell you when to talk. And if they don't tell you when to talk, then you just have to shut up because you're not going to be the Speaker of the House, Byron Donaldson. Hey, did I mention a little tidbit about Byron Donaldson that I learned? Byron Donaldson is the Florida lawmaker. I don't know, he's just the token black guy that the Republicans love now because he's married to a Moms of Liberty quack, right? But he's also been arrested for weed distribution in the 90s and bank fraud. So these are who Republicans have in their rank. And I'm not saying that the Democrats are perfect, because apparently not. You got Menendez over there being indicted and then being indicted again. Like, but here's the thing. Democrats are like, we don't want Menendez. We want him to step down. Guess who's supporting the Democratic criminal? Republicans. You see how that works? It's just so weird. So Byron Donaldson, he threw his hat in, and then at some point today, he dropped out. Like, everyone dropped out except for that one guy, and I don't know why. I cannot remember his name. I think it's Emmers or something like that. I think he is someone that the Democrats could get behind, because they know that they have to get behind someone and help them over the finish line, but they just are not going to get behind an election denier. Before I came on, it was reported that Emmers has dropped out of the race, and now there is no Speaker of the House of Representatives, and there's no one in line. They're like back to the drawing board again. Yeah. So to those who are watching right now who really doesn't understand what the House of Representatives is, that is a part of Congress. That is who's passing the budgets, passing legislature before it gets to the Senate. The Republicans are in the majority by a small amount. And that's why there's so much havoc right now. That's why things cannot get done right now, because Republicans cannot do the simplest thing as electing one person to speak for the House of Representatives. That's all. That one job. All you have is one job, Republicans, and that is to get your speaker. Democrats have never had this problem. Speaker Pelosi, they all gather around, and that is who it is. It doesn't take all of these days to get a speaker. This is a house in disarray. This is dysfunction. This is chaos. This is a circus. Like, it's not even funny anymore. It is pathetic, because literally our government is not working. Meanwhile, you got Joseph Biden going to Israel. He's just traveling. He's doing the damn thing and making sure things get done. He's on the phone with foreign leaders. He's getting aid over there. Like, he is just doing things. Meanwhile, Republicans are fighting each other for nothing. Like, it's horrific. So you know who else is having, what other Republican is having a bad week? Donald Trump. He is having a horrific week. Let's see. So the past week, Sidney Powell, the Kraken lady, has pled guilty. So you have Sidney Powell, you have Chesborough or Cheesebro, or however you say his name. They both flipped. That's two. That guy, Scott Hall, the bondsman, he flipped on Trump. And today, you have Jenna Ellis, his attorney, flipping and making a statement to the court in Georgia saying, I just listened to the seasoned attorneys, and I want to say sorry to the state of Georgia because I didn't know what I was doing, and people told me, and I thought I was representing my client, like all of the bullshit. Jenna Ellis knew what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was doing what Trump told her. They know that Trump did not win the election, because that's what this case is in Georgia. It's about the election and how they try to change the outcome of the election after Georgians have voted. So that is why Donald Trump is standing trial. Before I came on, we found out in his other case in DC, yes, the J6 case, The insurrection case over there in DC, you have Mark Meadows has been talking to special counsel, the prosecution, and the latest reporting is that he got immunity. So that means that he has flipped too. I believe that I heard that his attorney says that that's not entirely true. Even if it's partially true, that means that Mark Meadows has flipped. Mark Meadows was the chief of staff. And reportedly, Mark Meadows had told Donald Trump that he was being dishonest and all of that stuff, and that he did lose the election, but Donald Trump insisted. He called everyone to the Capitol on January 6th, and you saw what went down. So Trump is in a lot of trouble. There are, 5 people so far. These are pretty big fish. I am wondering what's going on with the Kanye West lady. I forget her name. 2 black people, because they're kind of low on the totem pole. The black woman who was also Kanye West's, I don't know if she was his promoter or his publicist or something. Let's see what her name is. Her name is Trevian Kuti. Girl, if Jenna Ellis has flipped and pled guilty, you better plead guilty. And you black? What are you waiting for, girl? What are you waiting for? The big fish have flipped. You're not that big a fish. You're going to go to jail. If you're found guilty of a felony, you're going to get jail time at the end of this week, because the window is closing. Fannie's not going to keep this window open for long for people to flip. They probably have about another week before she has all the information that she needs, and then there's going to be nothing else that anyone, especially these smaller people, can add to what she already has. And then that means that there's no time. There's no flipping. You're going to go to jail if you're found guilty. So, yeah, she would be insane. Who else here needs to flip? Wow, there's so many. Yeah, Harrison Floyd. He was the one who was pressuring him, and Trevian Kuti were pressuring the 2 election workers, Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, into saying that they did something wrong when they were counting ballots, like nefarious, like they were cheating. They were trying to pressure them into saying that, which was untrue. So those 2 people, I'm looking for them to be flipping this week, because come on, Trump's attorney flipped. His attorneys are flipping. What is going on with you? What are you waiting for, y'all? Y'all are crazy. Yeah, y'all crazy. Trump is gonna go down. It's gonna be gradual, but Fannie must have some serious evidence against him. Jack Smith must have some serious evidence against him. It's been so long. Hey, I am going to be working an election. How cool is that? So I will be doing my part as a POLL worker, a poll worker. I had my orientation today. I'm going to go back to my sabbatical because, sister's tired. So have, good evening and good morning. Have a good week. If something great or big happens, I'll probably pop back on. Other than that, I will talk to you later. Bye.